Alright, so I want to start this off by saying Zavala has an interesting bug with him. I know this review is about the Boomslang, but I made this review on a very specific Boomslang 4RF that Zavala sold at reset. It was the difference between the Envious Arsenal with jolting feedback or the Envious Arsenal with precision instrument, which one had the most DPS and better total damage output. Now, Boomslang is a pretty decent linear fusion because it has access to Vice Stinger. It's also in the brand new tiered system, which, if you guys don't know, the current weapons with the little icon do more damage for that season. So that is a bonus to some of these weapons. And I wanted to talk about Boomslang and if it rivaled the competition with Scintillation, with Doomed Petitioner, I believe Mistral, what is it, Mistral Lift from Festival of the Lost, and then Briar's Contempt. There's a ton of these weapons that exist in the game, and I wanted to go over why this one could be the best one with Envious Arsenal, Jolting Feedback, or Envious Arsenal and Precision Instrument. And unfortunately, he no longer has that role at his inventory. He also, neither one of them. He has since switched to pretty much Rapid Hit and Transcendent Moment in the first column on most of these. There's one with Rolling Storm, Jolting Feedback, which I guess is kind of cool, but that's like for nuking champions or something. So there's not really a role here that I'm talking about. So this is no longer a Zavala review, but just a weapon review. And for future reference, I will make sure I release these videos on Tuesday or Wednesday, hopefully before Zavala resets, because I don't actually know when this change happens, when his inventory cycles over to these other sets of the same weapons. I don't know if his armor does it. I have no idea. But basically, I'll be making a short on Wednesday, or rather on Tuesday, to go over the Zavala weapons. And then if he swaps over and has a better role, so like if he didn't have a good role at the beginning of the week, I'll make another video, another short at the end of the week talking about the better weapon. And then also I will have videos on the weapons themselves as reviews, the role that I pick. So if you guys want to watch the full review, which is what this one is, on the weapons that he has, they will be here either the Tuesday or the Friday, but you have to watch that short to know if you can get it or not, because I don't know. I didn't know that this was a problem, and we'll try to avoid it moving forward. If anything, if I cannot get a video out, please check my posts on YouTube. I make posts a lot, or I did, about Zur, so I'll be doing the same thing for Zavala just to kind of cover that. With just the basics for this video out of the way, I know it's a very long-winded intro. Let's get into the Boomslang 4RF. First off, we're putting it up against some of the best linears we've ever had to come out in the past couple of years. So we have the Mistral Lift, for those that are unaware. It is a bait and switch weapon. It also has access to Envious Arsenal, which has good synergy. Personally, I don't like that damage rotation with linears, so I kind of like to avoid bait and switch. I prefer perks that are always active, like Focus Fury, like Surrounded, like Precision Instrument, which is why I've always leaned towards Doomed Petitioner with Reconstruction Surrounded, or Envious Surrounded, or instead of Surrounded, you could have Precision Instrument, or weapons like Briar's Contempt, which has access to either Reconstruction, Envious Assassin, or Rewind rounds, and its damage perk being Focus Fury. The only problem with both Doom Petitioner and Briar's Contempt is they don't have great origin traits for being DPS weapons. Sure, Doom Petitioner has a niche use where Dragon's Vengeance can actually refill your weapon magazine if you get down to critically low health or an ally dies, but if you're in a DPS phase and your teammate dies, your DPS for your team is going down, so that's not really like a good thing to have happen. And with something like Boomslang, the Scintillation, and Mr. Lift, they have access to Vice Stinger, which is a fantastic origin trait. Just in the middle of DPS, it will reload your magazine just randomly. So you have, you know, reconstruction with bait and switch or whatever on Mr. Lift, you're down to 2 shots, and then it loads your ammo all the way back up. With Boomslang, you'll see in the footage that I'm shooting my entire mag and it reloads it for me. I never have to even reload the weapon, but I think one time. And then same thing goes for scintillation, which I don't have a good roll of, but it can do the same exact thing since it has not only Vice Stinger, but rewind rounds, which have great synergy. You can dump your whole mag, Vice Stinger can proc once, and then once it reloads with rewind rounds, there's a chance Vice Stinger procs again and completely reloads the weapon, causing scintillation to ideally never have to reload. And that's just with rewind. That's not going through the trouble of making sure that you have max stacks of Envious Assassin. And then this perk or this weapon also has great damage perks. It has Firing Line, which is just a free 20% for existing, so just a little bit better than Focus Fury, which is 20% for hitting half of your headshots, which is why I put Scintillation above Briars, because it can do what Briars can do, but just a little bit better. And then it also has access to Bait and Switch, so if you're doing a damage rotation with Wither Horde or Festival Flight, any kind of aerial denial frame, and you're just throwing damage on, Bait and Switch is always good to have. And then you also have Surrounded. And Surrounded, as you guys know, is the highest damaging perk that you can get on a weapon at 47% when enhanced. Now, I don't have a God Roll Scintillation, but the God Roll would be Rewind Surrounded. That's the best linear fusion in the game. So, can Boomslang compete with that is the question we're asking ourselves. Alright, so Boomslang, what perks does it have? What makes it good? In column 1, we have Envious Arsenal and Field Prep. That's it. I will say Field Prep is nice with the fact that it gives 30 ammo regen stat, but considering I'm not really taking ads out with a heavy, I don't really see that being super useful. And as far as DPS perks, it has Jolting Feedback, Vorpal Weapon, and Precision Instrument. Now, for me personally, if you don't have scintillation, which is no longer obtainable in the current sandbox, yes, Zur can sell it, but what are the odds he's going to sell a God Roll? I would recommend Envious Arsenal and probably Precision Instrument because it's a new weapon. Those perks, though, don't have the best synergy, in my personal opinion, because whenever you swap off of this to do your damage rotations and switch back to Precision Instrument, it doesn't proc like it used to. You only get 2 stacks of precision or per burst. So by the time you dump 3 shots, you finally have your full Precision Instrument buff, and you only have a couple shots of that full buff. So the fact that you have to reload manually or even with Envious Arsenal, you're not going to be able to do it fast enough to keep those stacks of Precision Instrument. So I prefer this weapon with Envious Arsenal Jolting Feedback because Jolting Feedback isn't going to go away. It procs pretty much all the time as you're just shooting. So in a damage rotation, it's just going to be doing its thing like it's supposed to, regardless of if you're swapping weapons or not. Also, I really think that it's a little slept on that people don't realize that when you jolt a target, it can kill the ads around it. So if you're nuking a boss and there's ads around it, it's going to hit those ads. You also have those that the jolt damage going to your other allies, the more damage that the enemy takes. So there are other things that make that kind of a niche, better version of a linear. It's more like the support linear. Like, not everyone should be running this role, but if you have one on your team, they're not throwing, is what I'm trying to say. Because I'd say if you had Precision Instrument, you'd probably be more throwing, because I don't think you're doing nearly as much damage, unless you're managing to proc Vice Stinger perfectly. And even then, I don't know if you're going to be able to perfectly do it to where you never reload, because you don't have any perks in the first column that are going to stop you from needing to reload. So, I said a lot of words. What does that mean? When we look at Doomed Petitioner, Boomslang, Briar's Contempt, Scintillation, and Mistral Lift, which one is the best burst linear fusion rifle in the game? Number one is still going to be scintillation. Even with that percentage nerf to old weapons, it has access to surrounded and rewind with Vistinger. That's never reloading and a 47% damage buff. That tops the 30% you're going to get occasionally on Boomslang for like half of your magazine. And it tops the fact that you're never going to have to reload because you're getting more than that 30%. And then with the 15% different damage difference, you're still getting 2 more percent. So Surrounded is just better than Boomslang because Boomslang just doesn't have access to good synergy perks. If it had Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch, we would be having an actual conversation about that being like a role, but it's just not. Next up, I would probably say Briar's Contempt because you can also get it just right to where you never have to reload a single shot, and it happens occasionally. And Briar's is just really good. The fact that it's solar, sometimes we have artifact bonuses like we have this season with Fever and Chill. Rapid precision hits with a solar weapon grants Radiant. So you're just going to get free Radiant for just hitting your precisions with something like Briar's. And I know that's situational. Not every season is going to have that, but we've had that multiple seasons before. So that one's really good. And then I'd probably say Doom Petitioner just because you have Envious Precision Instrument. You can get that roll and you can just save a bunch of shots. I think it's up to 18 or 20 in the magazine, and you're just going to dump that. And yes, I know you can do something similar with Scintillation and it having access to Envious and Surrounded, but for me, Envious goes away if you die. If I'm surrounded, there's a chance I die. So I'm not really a fan of having those on the same weapon. And I'm also not a fan of Reconstruction because you still have to reload after your first 12 shots, so then you only have 6, and then sometimes you have like an extra couple bullets in, and it's a whole thing that I don't like to deal with. So I would say that unfortunately, I think Boomslang is possibly the worst linear in the game. That doesn't mean that it's bad because it's definitely going up against some good competition. I mean, it's definitely better than Storm Chaser, and as far as being a arc linear, it's by far the best one we have. But it's just not as good as the alternatives because even Mistral Lift, which I know isn't currently available, but it will probably get new roles when Festival of the Lost rolls around, considering it was one of the more recent linears that came out, or Festival of the Lost weapons. Actually, I believe it was last year's weapon. It will probably get new perks, just like the bow from Solstice last year got new perks in the new system. Granted, I don't know if that means Mistral Lift will have good perks in the new system, but as it sits, it has access to Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch, which again is a good combo. I don't know how well they actually work because how good is it to rotate a linear? Kind of seems like you're juggling a lot there. It also has access to Clown Cartridge, Reconstruction, Envious Arsenal, and Envious Assassin. Withering Gaze, which I know is niche, but like it exists. You have High Ground, you have Firing Line, you have Bait and Switch, you have Precision Instrument, you have really any damaging perk you want on it. The only thing that Mistral Lift doesn't have that stops it from being the best linear fusion in the game is access to rewind rounds. Access to rewind rounds and precision instrument or surrounded or pretty much anything that gives you like damage for just existing or for the least amount of effort is going to be really good for this weapon because it has Vice Stinger. There's a chance that you never reload the weapon. So my official review on Boomslang is it's not bad, but you definitely need a specific role, and I think that specific role is going to be that Envious Arsenal Jolting Feedback role. As far as linear fusion rifles go, it is definitely better than the I think it's Storm Chaser. Hang on, let me check. Arc. Yeah, Storm Chaser. It's definitely better than Storm Chaser. It's definitely better than everything that's available right now. And when we look at other weapons, I mean, as far as what's available, Mistral Lift again might return, but it's only going to be a weapon during Fest of the Lost, so you can't always get it. Storm Chaser is still available, but it's not good in comparison. Fire and Forget is a world drop that you can get, I believe, from doing Lost Sectors. Not really great. Doom Petitioner and Scintillation will only be available from Xur. I don't think Doom Petitioner got put into the Last Wish stuff. And then Briar's Contempt is actually available in the raid, but honestly, I'm really hoping that they give old raid weapons the tier system. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Sorry about the Zavala stuff. Hopefully, Zavala brings you guys a good scintillation to make up for me fumbling the bag on the Boomslang FR4. And I will see you guys in the next video, which is hopefully going to be a build video. I have a bunch of those coming. Look forward to it. That's the kind of content you enjoy. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you did enjoy. Comment down below what's your favorite linear fusion and why. And what role are you going for on this weapon? Are you going for the Envious Arsenal Jolting Feedback role? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this weapon. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.